All right, good evening, everyone. Excuse me. I'm having a little bit of, I don't know, dinner slash snack in between recordings, but it's really not good for recording. Anyways, we are here for the 140th episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist. Had a bit of a blunder. Essentially, I opened a book with all of my notes ready, and all of a sudden I wind up with some bitter black salts and yell, "What am I supposed to do with this?" So we'll leave that for. Oop. Oh, sorry, just give me 1 second. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to finish off the day. We'll level up sharp, so it's not a complete write-off. And we did investigate recipes with Lantern, but what I want to do now is take a look at a few heart possibilities. And again, this isn't going to be a comprehensive list for the simple reason that the top level, the keeper level recipes, always involve a. They're always going to involve a. I actually don't think I have a more powerful heart memory right now. Oh dear. I may have a heart animal though. Anyways, the keeper recipes always have very specific requirements, and I don't like if I'm focused on. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's only two, but. But in any case, it's been a little while since I've looked at the possibilities for my various my various skills, so I kind of want to take a peek and just see if there's anything cool that I can do. Obviously, with heart, there's a few which are geared towards. We're already short, so I'm not expecting any breakthroughs at this point. Oh, actually, the Gideon Soaks should be something that I can add in. But they only count as a liquid. Okay, well this tells me that we need a better crafting station. So I think the dispensary would allow me to make use of the soaks. Yeah. I think the best I can hope for here would be heart in a jar. Which again tells me that maybe there's a better place for heart, but I'm not 100% sure where that would be. In any case, the soaks will push me ahead a bit. Actually, the January Sanguinary is even better. I can't imagine any of these remains. Yeah, heart in the jar is probably the best, but it's only 2. Anyways, better than what I currently got. So yeah, we can give this another chance. Again, I'm not expecting miracles because so much of what I've got sort of tied up. Actually, this is educational, so I'm going to switch out the January Sanguinary for Gideon Soaks just to see if that gives me. Okay, so that's not it. I do know that both the Soaks and January Sanguinary are potentially 2 keeper inputs. Okay, so same argument here, because these could potentially be keeper things. There we go. Oh, actually, okay, January Sanguinary is the keeper level, so we're just going to focus on the soaks. Although I also think that's the last one that we could possibly get 15 out of. Yeah. So unless I could find another spot for the matter. I mean, essentially what I would be doing is adding the January Sanguinary, but I have to imagine a few of these are about boosting up a Mommet. Although on that note, I actually might have some options there. So if I took a Pale Mommet, that counts as a tool. So if I had a heart workbench, and I'm trying to remember if I do. Well, I sort of have a heart workbench. This dastardly thing, but that's not the one we're looking for. Well, okay, Windlit workbench, fair enough. So, again, I don't exactly want to spend a ton of time on this, but let's see what our possibilities are. I can't imagine this would change things, actually. Am I really stuck using a heart in the jar again? I think I am. I mean, I guess I have woven. Technically, or actually, no, now that I think of it, the flushed Mommet is actually an option, too. There's a couple there that aren't surprises. Okay. I was kind of happy to see a couple results come out of the lantern ones, but obviously that wasn't too informative. Let's see what kinds of things we can gather in autumn. So Honeyscar Jasmine, Fragrant Chalice. Let's actually go for the Fragrant Chalice. And then with the remaining Faust, I'm wondering if I can get away with trying Gervinite, actually. Well, definitely not here. Yeah, well, it also helpful. It would help if I use something that could be. Yeah, I think most of my crafting stations are actually a non-starter here. Sculptor's Bench, maybe. We'll see. And actually, come to think of it, is it glass blowing? There's definitely one which lets me make Gervinite out of glass. Oh, Lockworks and Clockworks, that's right. Yeah, so that I need to be bringing 10 knock to. And glass. Actually, you know what? That is not outside the realm of possibility. So let's just take stock. Okay. So this doesn't work because it won't take lantern. I think there might be an altar that can take glass. I think I'm making things up, actually. I don't think this takes glass. I think this yeah, that wants a specific lens. Okay. Yeah, my options are limited. So maybe what I do is I use the FOST for manual labor. Well, no, you know what? That's silly. Let's at least get something for our efforts. Sky stories. Although it did just occur to me, I still actually need to get the memories. Oh man, I am blowing it today. So for all of that exciting work that I just did, I do need to remember that I actually need to. I do actually still need to generate the memories for. Or no, hang on. I think I've already done this. Oriflams, thanks you for your custom. The Orchid Transfigurations of Birth. I believe. Yeah, we read these texts. Okay. Let's. Okay, it is written. Musgrave, fourth of the DeWolf line, writes tentatively about the Covenant of Brandkrug and the legacy of the sacred inks he calls Incasta Potentialia. As the light passeth through a prism into many colors, so the great inks separateth into the lesser inks, and the lesser inks into inks minor. Musgrave coyly refuses to talk about the great inks, or else refuses to admit he doesn't know much about them. He insists that Ugol and Stargol, which can be mixed with sufficient nectar or sky aspect, are sufficient for most befitting purposes. Book of Thrones, a legend of the Shadowless Empire, transcribed by Alexander Peterhans from the Annals at a secret shrine in Anatolia. In the first and greatest history, I did read this. A subject of the Shadowless Empire of Persia travels to the west to the kingdom of the Persids. There he becomes a protege of the tutelary Persid deity, the Scarred Man, who lives in the dark. He returns after 7 years to put his skills at the service of the Shadowless Empire, becoming their golden general. After many years of peace, the heirs of the Persids move against the King of Kings in the Shadowless Empire. The Golden General will not take arms against the blood of his mentor until the King of Kings whispers a great secret of betrayal in his ear. He breaks his sword, forswears his oath to both the Empire and the Scarred Man, and enters the temple behind the world, leaving his life behind. There is a contradiction, something uncomfortable. History of Inks, a legendary grimoire of exotic ink-making lore. The cover and some of the pages, unfortunately, are stained and crusted with something more like mucus than ink. The Incasta Maricat is refined from the liquor named Lethe in the presence of nectar aspect. The priestesses of the Knot have also learned to brew Maricat in this wise, yet for the nature of their arts, their task may be easier. The history concludes with the admission that the Incastum named Orpiment Exultant was once drawn from the veins of Forgelong. Thankfully, it seems, it can also be refined from iotic essence using the techniques in this book or with transformations and the jewel science. Alright, we can still cycle through the Sweet Bones, I think. Let's get the sharps leveled up. There's always more to learn. Just trying to think if there's any other moves I might want to make for today, but I think probably we just want to run out the timer and see what we can do tomorrow. This game likes trolling me. There tisn't can be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. Actually, I had an idea. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. So one more point into sharps. So I'll use the Arab for that. Contradiction and confounding parable. I am no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pay to restore my metal, And I'm actually going to try and read that book overnight. So that'll have, my metal will be down for the next day, but that's fine because the metal was already going to be knocked down for the, you know, for reading that book anyway. Better now. Ah, okay. So I need to find another use for the core then. But yes, I am going to try this. There are a couple of ways that I can wind up very, very sad. But I'm going to risk it. Okay, for the core, let's go... I think I'm going to... How's my Honey Scar Jasmine, actually? Non-existent? Oh, we got one. Knives, dangers, and things out of place. All right. Gather the scented blossoms of the fragrant chalice. I can't remember which room I was beautifying. Looks like this one, but it also looks like I don't have any shelf space. Scraps from the Isle's Edge. Alright, a gull's egg. At Brandkrug, even the hours are kind, and the years are kinder. This egg might stay viable for quite a while yet. So that was very much me using my Faust in any way that I felt I could with the time that I had available. Like I said, today wasn't necessarily the best use of all of my abilities, but we can, we'll make things work out. I am kind of interested to see what our effort to read The Burning Woman. So there's a way that this can blow up in my face, and then I'm down the metal for the next day. And that's just unfortunate if that happens. But I want to try. I'll kind of explain as we go what the danger is. Okay, night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So let's put away the old moment, because I am going to want to hang on to that. Now, at some point I probably want to use this as an input to something. Because trying to hang on to an old moment night by night just seems like a recipe for mistakes. But let's go back to Ambrose's desk. Take the Burning Woman. Metal. Transformations and liberations. We'll add the foresight. Okay, and if I add the mortar and pestle, yeah, forge the wavering spark, perhaps. You provided forge, but not enough to match mystery forge. If you're lucky, you might still succeed. So the danger here is that we cross over into the next day, and we don't have the memory that we need. That is a real danger. Honey Scar Jasmine like a dart of sweet fire. Oh no. The beautification project is running into trouble. I do want to see what happens. Apparently Honey Scar Jasmine takes up too much shelf space. I don't think I can put that in, oh, you know what? There we go. It'll do. Memory's fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Carry to memory like a flambeau, safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. Alright. So, let's bring Mrs. Kill in. Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Cool. So it's things and it's art, so we don't need to worry about... Well, the memories we do need to worry about are the ones that level up... the ones that level up the transformations and liberations, but we should be able to see this one through. I'm not going to bother with the sweet bones right now. I'm just going to find something to put in here. All right, fiddle with something here. Increase the relevant aspects by using a thing. So really, we just need to throw a wrench at it. Mrs. Gill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up. Sorry, I read that before. Okay. So I kind of threw myself off track a little bit, but we're back. Now, I know this is never an exciting part of the session, but I'm going to take a minute here and work out what I need for transformations and liberations. It's getting a little dark. Okay, so we're Forge and Moth. And really, I want to make sure that I have 8, and we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're just going to go from the start. So Impulse does help. Satisfaction doesn't. Revelation's only Lantern. Secret Thresholds, I believe we said, was probably Knock and Rose. Bittersweet Certainty is Lantern and Winter. Foresight obviously helps. Regret, because of its Forge. Hindsight does not. Intuition doesn't because it's only Rose and Moon. Gossip is Rose and Grail. Fear is Edge and Scale. Beguiling Melodies, Grail and Sky. Contradiction is Edge and Moon. Storm is Grail and Sky. Salt, I always want to double check this one. Knock, Winter, and Moon, so not the Forge or Moth that I need. Pattern, on the other hand, has Forge. Solace is like Storm, Heart, and Sky. Earth Sign, well, we have that here, but, you know, Nectar and Scale. Savage Hymns, again, I'm going to guess here, is Scale and Sky. Cheerful Ditties is Heart and Sky. Confounding Parables is Intuition with Sky. This is kind of why I brought in the Old Moment. Because it turns out there's not a whole lot of Forge to work with. Okay, so we can also get Touch for 5th. Old Moment, Name Day Riddle. And Sun's Weakness. Okay, actually that gives me something to work with here. So, basically all hands on deck as far as the leveling up transformations and liberations goes. So let's start by getting the Newman. So for that we read Crack Track. Okay. I don't think it would hurt for us to work on the Name Day Riddle right away. So I think we can just get that out of preliminary meter. No. but this might. Conceive a mothy riddle. Okay. I also want to start marking these. So we have Sun's weaknesses named a riddle. Old moment. I'm actually not 100% sure what I get with touch. I think with a bust I get a sight rather than a touch. But I kind of want to experiment with it anyway. So I have a couple of ideas about that. Let's get the pattern first, because the pattern's the last of the... Oh, you know what? I shouldn't be so quick to throw away the FET, actually, because the FET is something I can use to level up transformations and liberations. Okay, so we will use... Trist to read on imperfections. Now, next up, what I want to do... So I'm going to test this hypothesis about busts, but what this also does is it lets me sort of work through some of the ordering. So right now we've been relying on the various texts, but another thing that I can do is actually just examine the busts themselves. So let's start with Serena Blackwood. Again, I know where everybody should be, but it's nice to play... It's kind of nice to play consistently with what your character knows. So this bust is carved from alabaster. Investigate this object. Now again, my guess here is that at sight, in that case, we'll try one of the bits of furniture. But honestly, it's just a nice chance for me to be able to catch up on some of the rooms. There's still a chance. Okay, so... The Burning Woman, a transcription of the play by Menander the Victor, possibly the dramatist of that name, into Frisian with commentaries. The play describes a pilgrimage of smiths and adepts following the trail of the Burning Woman, who has appeared in all their dreams and given each a wound and a word. The smiths and adepts give up on finding the Burning Woman and resolve to build their own kingdom, where our strength will be sufficient to shatter the world. So this came with 2 transformations and liberations, which is good, and a foresight. Of course it's a foresight. Why would it be anything else? Now this does create a little bit of awkwardness as far as my future reading plans, because the 2 lessons are all that I need to be able to bring this thing up to, you know, up to the next level. But I do have my deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me. And that's going to give me transformations and liberations, and I'm going to need to find something else to level up as a result. Now, again, that's a nice problem to have, but it's one I should probably be prepared for. Realistically, I don't see us moving any higher than what we currently have. In fact, let's use the whisk to make a bit of money. Oh, that's interesting. There it is and can be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So what happened here? What have I learnt? Serena Blackwood, 10th librarian, a redoubtable scholar and administrator who quarreled with the prison governor and never completed her term. Okay, so... 10th librarian, plaque with a niche, who departed but did not forget. So I don't actually think it says here. Oh yeah, never completed a term, so that would be... And yes, we did get sight for that. So the next step will be to use my Faust with the Delightful Repose, placed by the Curia of the Isle to allow a rest before an ascent or after a descent. Right, let's keep chatting with Mrs. Kill. The hope, of course, is that we wind up getting more of the memories that we need from her rather than, the other efforts using elements of the soul, because the elements of the soul can be used for other things. But we also have quite a bit. So, for instance, I may want to make another old moment in anticipation of leveling up transformations and liberations. All right, delightful repose, placed by the curia of the isle to allow rest before an ascent or after a descent. House folklore claims that Ambrose Westcott suffered his final apoplexy on this sofa, with a particularly hasty trample up and down the stairs to argue with visiting priests. What's down the back of the cushions? A small and unexpected treasure. Oh, a bronze spintria? So we don't actually get touch out of that. Inconvenient. It's the only time I'll say that getting a spintria is inconvenient. Oh dear, we're up to a £5 note now. I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £5. The bearer never does demand, though. Alright, the Sun Disfigured. A scroll of anthropoderm parchment written in the golden ink called Uzalt. The author of this text calls herself the Elegabline. Sometimes she seems to be Sunset Celia, the Watchman's name. Sometimes she seems to be Lady Tryphon, the Grail Long. It is unclear whether these are separate entities or the same person. It may be unclear even to the writer. The flaws in the Sun's plan are elucidated. The Sun's plan itself is never entirely clear, but it is a project of some kind to enter, possess, or surrender to the glory, the pure light above the mansus. This book suggests ways in which that plan might fail. So here's the Sun's weaknesses. The Sun's sins and the Sun's scars are our salvation. There are histories where they will trap us, preventing us from rising to eternity. And on imperfections, Pomander, a lightsmith and lantern long, describes the process of transinhabitation, which he calls a manifestation of imperfection. Lantern long lack bodies and so cannot normally leave the mansus, but they can steady glint in the physical world by establishing a road of glass. Pomander notes with disgust that the order of long called the Obliviates refer to it as scrying, which he considers a debased term. Pomander explains the benefits of transinhabitation, that a lantern long can affect the senses and thoughts of those nearby, that they can even enter their spirits, and that they can employ the senses of those inhabited to experience again the scent of blossom and season. This seems to be what interests him most. He insists that a lantern long should only ever inhabit a mirror of silver, not silvered glass, but he declines to explain why. Alright, so this is going to be where we wrap up for tonight, but in terms of the overall plans, and I'm hoping I remember this, so for transformations and liberations, we need 7 memories. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. We're trying to work on touch, so I'm hoping that gives us 5. At which point we'll need 2 more, which we definitely have access to. Now, it would be nice for secondary, like the secondary run, to... In fact, I'm also working on a name day riddle, so we're even further ahead. It would be nice if I can get an old moment just to push us ahead to get transformations and liberations up to level 9. Again, I'm going to have to put some effort into that. But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think, given the fact that I was already 1 behind... So, for the Burning Woman, I think it was 14, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so we know with what we have already that I can read the manner in which the alchemist was spared. We know we can read my deeds, my powers, my achievements, and the injustices perpetrated against me, because this requires Deep Mandiac, which has 2 forge. And then the messenger awaiting her destination, that is the one that would require us to level up transformations and liberations. So however I decide to do that, we'll be in good shape. I also think Anbrian Lapdary, yeah, that actually doesn't have that much required of it. So it might make sense for me to read this before my deeds, my powers. But I don't know. I'll work it all out. And then when I have time, we'll read the Orchid Transfigurations. This one should be trivial. We will get resurgences and emergences from that. Where are you? Oh, Okay, that's another one that we already know. So yeah, I'll have a couple of decisions to make at the end of the shelf. And again, almost certainly we're going to be able to read more books inside here, but I've just had so much low hanging fruit in front of me that it doesn't make sense to push those. Anyways, something to handle in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry I was a little distracted, but there's a couple of YouTube things just in terms of how they're rating my videos that caught me by surprise. But I'm looking forward to next week where we will finish our readings, and then probably at that point we'll think about opening up new areas. This one I probably want to wait until I can build Sacrament Malachite, but I think I can get the conditions for at least this pump room, and I suspect... nah, this would be the closer one. Anyways, we definitely have a couple of rooms which, depending on how badly I want it, we're able to work it out. But again, I'll save that for next week. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.